There is a difference between clarity and over-explanation. One builds understanding, the other quietly erodes self-respect. Most people don't notice when they cross that line. They believe they are being considerate, honest, or fair. But psychologically, explaining yourself too much is rarely about communication. It is about reassurance. Often that reassurance is never actually received. Today, I want to guide you through why this happens, how it forms, and what changes when you understand it clearly. Not to judge, not to shame, but to bring wisdom where confusion often lives. Let me start with a simple, familiar story. There is a person, thoughtful, capable, well-intentioned. When they make a decision, they explain it, not once, but repeatedly. They add context, they clarify tone, they anticipate objections before they are raised. If someone looks uncertain, they expand the explanation. If someone disagrees, they defend it further. If someone stays silent, they assume misunderstanding. Over time, something subtle happens. They begin to feel tired after conversations. They replay interactions in their mind. They feel oddly smaller, even when they were right. No one explicitly disrespected them, yet their self-respect feels thinner. This is not because they lack confidence. It's because they misunderstand what explanation is meant to do. Psychologically, explanation serves two very different purposes. The first is information. The second is self-validation. Healthy explanation transfers information when it is needed. Excessive explanation seeks validation when it is uncertain. When you explain yourself too much, you are no longer answering a question. You are answering an internal doubt. Am I allowed to take up this space? The mind learns this pattern early. If, growing up, your choices were questioned, if your emotions had to be justified, if misunderstanding led to consequences, you learned that safety came from explaining thoroughly. This adaptation was intelligent, but what once protected you can later drain you. Imagine a child who learns that silence after a decision leads to tension, but explanation leads to peace. They learn, if I explain myself well enough, things will be okay. That child grows into an adult who explains not because they must, but because their nervous system equates explanation with safety. This is important. Over-explaining is not weakness, it is learned vigilance. But adulthood requires a different calibration. Because in adult relationships, clarity earns respect, while excess justification often invites doubt. Here is the cost most people miss. Every time you explain yourself beyond necessity, you subtly signal uncertainty about your own authority, not to others, but to yourself. Self-respect is built through internal alignment. I trust my reasoning enough to let it stand. When explanation becomes excessive, the internal message shifts. My reasoning needs approval before it can rest.
This creates a psychological imbalance. You become mentally responsible for how others receive your decisions. You begin managing reactions instead of owning choices. That is exhausting. Let's correct a common moral misunderstanding. Explaining yourself too much is not kindness. It is not humility. And it is not emotional intelligence. True humility does not require self-erasure. True kindness does not demand self-defense. True emotional intelligence knows when silence communicates confidence. Wisdom is knowing the difference between being clear and being consumable. There is a moment many people remember, even if they never named it. They make a decision, small but personal. They explain it once, calmly. Someone challenges it. And instead of explaining further, they pause. They feel discomfort. They feel exposed. But they say nothing more. And something unexpected happens. The world does not collapse. The relationship does not end. Their inner posture straightens. That moment is not rebellion. It is self-trust emerging. Here is what changes psychologically when you stop over-explaining. Your mind begins to distinguish between understanding, which is optional, and permission, which is not required. You stop assuming that disagreement means understanding. You stop translating your internal world for comfort. This does not make you cold. It makes you grounded. People may still ask questions, but now your explanation becomes a choice, not a reflex. That is self-respect. This part is uncomfortable but important. When you over-explain, you unintentionally teach people how to treat you. You teach them that your decisions are negotiable, that your boundaries are flexible, that persistence may extract justification. Not maliciously, not consciously, but psychologically, patterns respond to signals. Clarity ends negotiation. Over-justification invites it. This is not about becoming abrupt or dismissive. It is about practicing contained explanation. Here is the discipline. 1. Explain once, clearly. 2. Pause. 3. Observe the response. If the other person seeks understanding, respond briefly. If they seek control, stop explaining.
Silence, in this context, is not avoidance. It is containment. You are not withholding information. You are withholding self-abandonment. Philosophers have long observed this pattern. Those who explain themselves endlessly are not more truthful. They are more afraid of being misread. Wisdom does not rush to be understood. It allows misunderstanding to exist without panic. The calmest people are not the most persuasive. They are the most internally settled. If you recognize yourself here, there is nothing wrong with you. You learn to survive through clarity. Now you are learning to live through self-trust. This transition feels uncomfortable because it removes a familiar safety net, but it replaces it with something sturdier, respect that does not depend on response. Let me state the lesson plainly. Explaining yourself too much drains self-respect because it teaches your mind that your decisions require external permission to be valid. When you stop over-explaining, you are not becoming rigid, you are becoming anchored. Imagine returning to that first person from the story. They still explain when explanation is useful. They still communicate with care, but they no longer chase relief through words. Their posture changes, their tone slows, their energy returns, not because others changed, but because their relationship with themselves did. You do not need to convince people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You do not need to justify boundaries that protect your integrity. You do not need to narrate your worth. Wisdom is quiet, not because it lacks words, but because it trusts its presence. If this reflection helped you see yourself more clearly, let it sit with you. Understanding, when integrated slowly, becomes strength.